Hello, welcome once again to Pale Blooms and Beyond. Thank you for joining us today. If you do like the programming you see here and the musicians and artists that I visit with, please be sure and hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Mike Simmons is an English singer, songwriter, and multi-instrumentalist. He began playing and touring the clubs during the late 60s and early 70s. Early on, he collaborated with keyboard player John Gosling, who would go on to join the Kinks. Later on, Mike would work with guitarist Steve Forrest and formed the band Shadowfax for a time, but Steve would ultimately move on to play in Silverhead. Then came Gothic Horizon. Andy Desmond and Richard Garrett had been singing Mike's songs for years, and they formed Gothic Horizon. Mike, along with a couple of other musicians, would go on to play on both of the band's albums, 1971's The Jason Lodge Poetry Book and Tomorrow's Another Day from 1972. The band also released 6 singles during their time together. More recently, my guest has recorded and released 8 solo albums, with 2024's Trace in a Landscape, Herefordshire being his latest. Well, welcome, Mike.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here and taking time out. Well, take us back to the beginning. Where were you born?
I was born in Luton in Bedfordshire, quite near to London, about 30 minutes train drive away.
Okay. Do you recall your early childhood growing up there?
Yeah. My mum was in something called the Luton Girls Choir, which was a big deal at the time. So there was always music in the house, and she was always singing, it seems like.
It seems like that's come up before in another interview, the Luton Girls Choir.
Yeah?
It does ring a bell. It does ring a bell. Well, was there music in the household? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Uh, and how about your dad? Was he musically inclined at all, or just your mother?
No, not really. It was very much my mum.
Okay,
Yeah,
your mother. Okay, all right. Uh, what was the first instrument that you learned to play?
guitar.
Okay.
I would say there were other instruments that school tried to encourage me to play and caused great pain to many people. The trumpet was one of those, but yeah, better forgotten.
It caused pain to their eardrums. Right.
Much later in life, I tried to learn the saxophone with very much the same effect on people.
Oh, is that right? Even to this day, I can't whistle. I don't know what it is about me. So I think I would have had a hard time with either one of those instruments.
Who knows? Who
Yeah.
knows?
Well, can you remember one of the first singles or albums that you got yourself?
God, I think that would have been Sandy Shore.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Yeah.
and would that have been always there to remind me? Something like that, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, what a song. What a song. Yeah. Yes. What were some other
Well,
artists?
Dylan, I mean, a little bit later,
Okay.
Dylan was the person who I was just buying every album as it came out. And that was just a wonderful time. And he was a huge influence at
Oh,
that time on what I was writing, what I was listening to. Well, he was what I was listening to. Yeah, that was tremendous. And saw him a couple of times early on in his career, which was pretty
did
impressive.
did you? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Do you know who Carolyn Hester? Does that name ring a bell to you,
No, it
Carolyn?
doesn't. No.
Okay.
No.
That was early on in the Greenwich Village scene, even before Dylan had broken in. And I did an interview with her. She's a Texas native too. Still singing at 87. I want to say high 80s. She's 87 or
Wow.
88. The last I
Wow.
talked to her. Anyway, she helped give him his start. He was going around begging anybody, can I play with you? Can I play on your album?
Yeah.
And she let him play the harmonica on one of her albums. Before, not even the guitar, just the harmonica.
Just the harmonic.
Right. Well, what were some other early influences for you?
Incredible string band. Uh, I saw, in fact, I may be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure I saw the Incredible String Band at the Albert Hall with maybe Tom Paxton, maybe Ian and Sylvia, and someone else. And the Incredibles were very much kind of the small bands that were there filling up the space. And I'd never heard anything like it. It was just tremendous. And this was the days when you could go into a record shop and they'd put you in a cubicle and you could listen to the whole side of an album.
Yes.
And I think it would have been, I think it was the first one that Clive Palmer was on. I think that was the one they had in the shop. It could have been Layers of an Onion, but I don't think so. And I just listened and listened and listened and saw them a load of times too. That was a great
Yeah.
influence. I don't
Yes.
think
Yeah.
my music was ever apparently influenced by them, but they were certainly influencing how I was thinking and how I was approaching what I was doing. Yeah,
Yeah. Yes. Yes. How influential, exactly.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
there was quite a folk scene there in the UK.
Oh, yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
during that time, the mid to late '60s. And were you ever in a band early on, or just played solo?
No, played solo. I mean, you've described pretty much the people I played with, but
Yeah.
that folk scene, there was a club in London in Greek Street it was called Les Cousins, but everyone called it Les Cousins. And I think I saw everyone there. Yeah, it was just extraordinary. So, Al Stewart, John Renbourn, Bert Yance, Davy Graham, uh, and they had I think on a Saturday or a Friday night, you could have one show that went through to say 11 o'clock, and then an all-nighter that went through till 4 or 5 o'clock. And I've got, loads of memories of kind of lying on, there were pews, church pews in some part of the seating or benches. Everyone was kind of half asleep and listening. Suddenly it was something wonderful to listen to. Wonderful times, just great. And London was near enough for me to get to very regularly. And then I ran a club as well in Luton, and lots of the touring folk singers came to that. It was
Oh, you did. We'll
good.
talk about that. How did you get into running the?
Oh, goodness knows. I think it must have been the 60s. The first folk club I ever walked into, I was running. I don't know how. How did that happen? It seemed like a good idea at the time. I was hearing this music on record and wanted to just hear it there.
Yeah,
So, yeah. And
yeah.
then later I went on to run a magazine and a couple of clubs, one in Luton, one in a small village outside, which were around folk music and poetry. So we had touring poets and touring folk musicians and local people as well, of course. Uh, yeah, exciting. That's,
Yes, exciting times. And well, I was envious. Well, I'm very envious of you guys across the pond because during that time period and even later on, there was concerts and shows like every night, just about. And over here, it's few and far between. It's always
really.
unless you're in like LA or New York,
Yes. Yeah, yeah,
right,
yeah,
right. So you were right there in the midst of it. Wow,
absolutely.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll talk about playing the clubs in the late '60s and early '70s. You yourself playing.
Yeah. It was, at one time I did have an agent. No, two times I had an agent. A lot of the time I was doing that bit of drumming up work and going round from place to place and trying to get bigger clubs and all of that stuff that everyone was doing. We were all just going round playing where we could get somewhere to play uh, and building up experience, I guess. And part of that was sometimes you'd be the main artist, and that was always exciting and scary. And sometimes you were the support artist, and then you'd see people that were doing better than you and were better than you. Doing their stuff, and it was just great. So I've got so many memories of those bands and those solo singers. I mean, I remember seeing Al Stewart moments before he was going on, changing the strings on his guitar, and I was thinking, dear God, I'd never do this. So scary. Like,
Right.
and then neatly snipping the ends of the strings off and walking onto stage. I'd just be terrified it was going to go out of tune or something.
I would too. I
Uh,
would too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was educational for you, like you said,
Oh yeah.
you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and you honed your chops
Yeah.
doing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
wow. Yeah, what a
Absolutely.
time! What a time! Yes, I was thinking, who was I thinking of? Yeah, Al Stewart. Yeah, I like a lot of his early material before he became real popular.
Yeah.
Before Year of the Cat.
Yeah.
That, but that's some fine material there too.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
what a singer. Well, how did you and John Gosling meet?
We went to school together.
Oh, okay.
And it's a strange one to think this, but we go to school, and then in the lunch break, there was a grand piano kind of in a sort of lobby, and he would play piano and I'd play guitar. And I don't ever remember us asking anyone about this. We just did it. And it was a big sort of atrium. So it must have been pretty noisy for people.
Yeah.
And we would practice and practice and practice. John was an incredible songwriter and poet, in fact. So at some point we started playing in the clubs. And then we reached the point we put on a big concert in what was for us a big hall. And he was playing piano and guitar. We were doing some of his songs, some of my songs, some of his poems. Uh, we had a light show at that time. We had a light show with something
Yeah.
like 7 projectors, 7 guys doing stuff, making a huge mess.
Was it?
We had quite a lot of trouble about the mess they left. But it was just something, it was just so exciting and so different. Now, the mistake we made then was thinking, wow, we've got these hundreds of people, so let's book other halls in other parts of the world or other parts of the country where no one's heard of us
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
see how that goes. Of course, you can guess how that went. It went quite badly. Uh, and so we were playing clubs if they were, if not clubs, halls, if they were big halls, they weren't a lot of people. And then suddenly I got a phone call from a friend of mine saying the Kinks are looking for a pianist. Do you know anyone?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I made the big mistake of
I was
saying, yeah, John, he's great.
I was gonna say you should say no, can't think of anybody right now.
And
No.
John went to see them. They did Lola as his audition piece, but actually they were recording it. It was a recording session.
Oh, right.
And he got the gig and he was off.
Wow, he just
Uh,
went right in. He didn't have an audition or anything. Just
well, the audition was the
oh, was the
recording
recording? Was
session.
the actually recording? Wow, and
Yeah,
he just wow. Well, you did the right thing by recommending him. Yes, you did.
I I I kind of hope so, but I've always had doubts about that because though it was great for him in lots of ways, uh, have you heard any of his songs? But the ones he's written, you see,
Okay,
that's the thing. He was a
yeah,
songwriter. He
right.
was playing Ray's songs,
Yeah,
not his songs. The
right.
Kinks never recorded his songs.
Yeah, yeah, they're right.
And
Yeah.
I
Yes,
kind of feel in some ways
yeah,
we lost a great songwriter and poet,
yeah,
but
yeah.
he got a good, secure gig.
Right.
So there's a trade-off
The
there.
trade-off, yeah, like you
Yeah,
said,
yeah,
yes, yes, right. He didn't compose for the Kinks. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah. And I
Right,
think we thought, because at that time when all of us were kind of playing together and whoever you were playing with, I'd do my song and you do your song and and I think we assumed that's how it would be, and of course it wasn't.
right,
So a
right.
bit to learn there.
Right. Well, before he left, you had released the single "Total Eclipse"
Yes,
1967, and he played on one of the, I
he
think,
did.
a B side,
He
but
did. He
I
played bass. Yeah,
yes, yes,
yeah,
but I
yeah.
like "Morning Came a Little Early." Nice guitar and a soft folk sound on that one. I like that. If you
That
remember
was,
that
I do remember it. But I'm
one.
astonished that you do.
Yes, I found it online, and Well, that was what acetate, right? That I think it was.
We went into a small studio in
Mhm,
Hitchin,
mhm.
and I think there were about 100 pressed, may have been a bit more than that.
Yeah,
Sold them,
yeah, yeah,
but that was it really.
yeah,
But
yes.
a dreadful, a dreadful record.
Well, I like that track. And
Oh, that's
anyway,
very nice of you.
anyway, and you already mentioned the collaboration with the show with songs and the poetry and the light show. Yes, but then unfortunately, the Kinks would poach him.
Yes,
Yes. Well, then you would go on to play with Steve Forrest and form the band Shadowfax.
yes,
Not the U.S. New Age band, might I add.
no,
No, no.
no.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, we formed a band, but we never went on the road. Uh, we kind of spent quite a bit of time getting together a group of songs that we were pleased with, quite a bit of time working out how we were going to work together. We had two different drummers, as I remember, uh, and I think we saw ourselves fundamentally as being a three-piece. So there were two different guys that we rehearsed with, and to my shame, I can't remember the names of either of them. Uh, and it kind of felt like, well, we were very pleased with what we were doing. Put it that way, we were pleased. And I certainly felt quite excited that what we were doing was worth doing. Steve was a great guitarist, uh, and again, songwriter and singer. Uh, and again, he suddenly vanished to the States.
Right? With Silverhead.
Yeah,
Yes, yes.
yeah.
You were starting to get a little insecure at that point, weren't you?
Who could blame me?
Right. It's
But
like everybody I work with moves on. Yeah.
I do remember I went to a gig and the Kinks were playing, and so was Silverhead.
Oh,
And I went to go backstage, and the guy said, "So, which band are you with?" I said,
yeah,
"Whoa,
yeah,
whoa, both of them."
yeah. Right, right.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
But my
yes,
memory of Steve then was it was the first time I'd seen him in makeup because he certainly hadn't been wearing makeup in Silverhead, but he
yeah.
stayed with in Shadowfax, but he
Right,
certainly was in Silverhead. Yeah,
right, right. Yes, they did in Silverhead. Yes,
yeah, yeah.
yes. Wow. Well, is he still around, Steve? Is he
I
still?
don't know. Yes,
Okay.
no, I
Is he?
don't know. It's not Steve. I did catch up with someone else fairly recently, but it
Okay.
wasn't Steve. I don't
Okay.
know. I don't
Okay.
know.
Okay. You don't
Yeah.
know if he's still, or what? Do you know what he did after Silverhead? You don't know any of that history? No. Okay. All right. Well, Gothic Horizon. I like the name. I have to say, the first time I ran across the band, I like that. I like that. The appeal of that, the name, and what it's, the connotations for me hearing that. Well, so tell the story, the backstory of it, and then how you came to join.
One of the clubs that I was running, the one in Luton, Andy and Richard started coming and playing in the kind of come all ye bit, so when, it was just open mic, except there were no mics. Uh, and then we started booking them, and then they started singing some of my songs. And that was really good for me. There were other bands singing my songs then as well, uh, but they were clearly going somewhere, and indeed they did. They got a manager. The manager chose the name Gothic Horizon, and I can't for the life of me remember the name of the band that his brother had because they were a successful band at the time, and you could see why he pinched a name that was kind of
Oh,
similar, had the same kind of ring to it.
oh, did it? Okay.
But Stuart was his name, and he was really good for the band. He got them a lot of work, and indeed, then they got a recording deal. Uh, we had a couple of albums and the singles that you
Yeah.
described. The
Yes.
first one did okay. And as a result of that, they threw a lot more money at the second one, which didn't do so well. Uh, but yeah, we were very pleased with both albums.
Right.
And
Oh, I wanted to go into a little more detail on the albums and the tracks that I enjoy, my picks, maybe to get your memories or recollections, if you have those.
yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
Dig deep and go back into that into your memory banks. Well, the first one, the Jason Lodge poetry book from '71, recorded at Decca Studios. Yeah,
yeah,
where many notable artists had recorded. Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I mean, that was so strange because it was in this sort of basement at the West Hampstead Studios. I mean, it was a studio, but it was like in a basement. It felt more like a youth club than a studio.
yeah.
But we were just kind of overwhelmed with excitement because wow, we're in a recording studio.
Right, right.
And there were pictures of all the stars and everyone in the corridors. There was a tea lady. I mean, even in my time in going into studios, I could see that that was a thing that was going out. The idea that we all stop because the tea lady with the tea trolley is coming to serve tea.
It's tea
Uh,
time.
but
Yeah.
she was there, and it was just. That was a historic building and a historic studio. It was just, we were all just desperately trying to look cool, like
Yeah.
we were going in here every day.
Right. Was it a bit intimidating being in
No,
studio?
it wasn't a bit intimidating. It was intimidating.
It was very much
Yeah.
so.
Oh God. I mean, after a day or two, yeah, sure, you kind of settle down. And I suppose we were there for a week. Uh, Yeah, I think for a Monday to Friday kind of week, uh, and put down. You probably know better than me. Was it about 10 tracks, 12 tracks, something like
Yeah,
that?
I think that's what I think. Yeah.
I would say, yeah. We at some point there was a sudden feeling we needed a full percussion drum kit, and someone then went back to Birmingham to get one, so it seemed like a good idea at the time. And there were very exciting things for us, a very small number of other instruments that were put on, but mostly it was the band. Not Stuart, can't remember the name of the producer, Kevin Daly,
Okay.
who'd done all manner of things. And we didn't boast too much about the fact that he'd also done quite a lot of steam train recordings because that wasn't so cool. But he played on it. John played on it. And someone else did. Oh, the Yetis, who were a folk group that were on the same label, I think. And they sang a chorus on something. Uh, but mostly it was the band. Well, it was Andy and Richard, and then a group of others of us who were playing second guitar, mandolin, banjo, whatever was needed on that track. Yes.
Right, right. Support.
Yes. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I have to say, I like the album cover, the montage on that. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes. Now, the woman who did that did several of a similar kind of style,
yeah,
and they were very attractive. And she really worked lots of the detail
yes,
of the album onto the design. Yeah,
yeah, yes. You can see that, and it must have taken her a little bit of time to do that.
I think
Yeah,
so. I think so.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Well, as far as the songs on there, the title track is a nice upbeat ditty. Who's that whistling at the beginning?
That was Andy.
That was
I'm
Andy.
pretty sure that was Andy. It wasn't you. We know this.
Okay. Yeah, see, I can't do that, so I'm
I
envious.
know.
Yeah, right. Wow. Well, song for Susan. I like the flute. Or is that a recorder? Is that a flute or a
No,
recorder?
that was a flute, and that was someone who was literally brought in, a session musician,
For that.
to do that bit. She did that straight off, came in. and went. Yes, that was very nice. Yeah.
Yes, yes, I like that. I've made the mistake before, calling it a flute when it was a recorder.
No, that
Another
was a
band, but that was an actual flute. Yes.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
uh, Willow Tree Vale song is another nice one. Do you
Yes, I
remember
think
that
I'm
one?
playing guitar on that. I think. Yes, I am. Fingerstyle guitar.
You recall anything about that song in particular, or any of the songs that I'm mentioning? If you recall any stories surrounding them, or the recording of them, or anything.
Well, in a way, there's so much, but there's also so much kind of, oh, how interesting is this? Yes, it's that we were all young. All the songs we were writing were about our lives in some way. So that, yeah, I remember who that song was written about, the girlfriend I had at that time. Uh, and Valentine's Day Massacre,
Okay.
uh, which again, another one completely just about someone and a broken relationship. I mean, I guess that's what we were all doing. We were all falling in love and writing about that, and then it wasn't working out, and we were writing about that as well.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
our own
Well,
experiences.
I like how you the double meaning in that, the original meaning, and then how you guys used it in your
Right.
a broken relationship. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's well done. Well,
There's
go ahead.
There's just one thing on that. There's the Jason Lodge poetry book, and there's AJ Lone's Dog, which are two different tracks. And the AJ Lone's Dog was just me being silly, really, because it's an anagram, AJ Lone's Dog, of Jason Lodge, and it's the same chord sequence on both
I,
songs.
I'm glad you said that. Now I see the anagram. Now I see that. Okay. I wondered where that came from. It's like, okay.
Now, I'm pretty sure when that came out as a single, they I think that came out as called Marjorie because they said no one is ever going to buy a single called AJ Lone's Dog. There was a lot of not exactly pretentiousness on my part, but certainly I was a young man. I was very kind of, oh no, this is what it's called. Have it if it's not
Yeah.
called this. And you think, did that matter really?
Yeah.
Could I have maybe taken more attention to what the record company was saying and say they know how
Yeah.
songs
Yeah.
sell, but
No,
yeah,
no. It
yeah.
it is what it is, right? And it was that time in your life, you know. So right,
Yes,
right.
absolutely,
Well,
absolutely,
song,
yeah.
I like that one. That's a nice piano on that.
And that is John playing piano on that. Pretty sure John was playing wherever there is piano on both those albums. He was
Okay.
playing it.
Yeah, yeah, that's really
Yeah.
nice. Now the next song may be one of my favorites from the album. It is one of my favorites from the album. Wilhelmina Before Sunrise. Yeah,
One of Andy's songs, lovely,
yeah,
lovely
yeah.
track. Yeah,
Those are the
yeah,
kind of songs that are right up my alley. Those kind of soft
yeah,
ballads like
yeah.
that. Yeah, very very pretty, very pretty track. Uh,
They had great voices that
yes,
worked
yes,
really well
yes, they
together.
did. They
Yeah,
did. They
yeah,
really did.
yeah,
One was a little deeper, and one was a little higher. So it kind of, the happy medium really, yeah,
yeah,
it melded well
yeah,
together.
yeah.
Wow. Well,
No, I mean, in the early days, they were doing the clubs, and this is when they were Gothic Horizon in those early days. They were doing the clubs and working. And I, this may be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's not. There was a time when they were both working as milkmen, delivering milk, and that's a job that starts very early in the morning. And so we'd all be off in the van, we'd go to a gig, we'd come back, I'd go to bed. They'd go straight onto the milk round delivering milk. Then
yes.
they'd go to bed, and then we'd be off somewhere else. Just dreadful. You're kind of doing this thing of, will the music make a complete living, or do I need to be doing something else as well? And
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
hard times too. You were
Oh,
banging about in the back of a van, all crammed in.
yes, yes. Oh, I've heard that.
Wonderful, great memories, but also at the time when you're in a van at 3 o'clock in the morning, really, it's not so good.
I've heard those stories, horror
I,
stories. Yes, a
I
lot of
bet.
those. Yeah, as well. Wow. Well, the album did pretty well, and even got a mention in Billboard.
It
So,
did. It
yeah,
did. Yeah. Yeah. So that was exciting. And I think it was on the strength of those reviews that then we did the second album. Now, Gina, I can't remember the name of the studios. It wasn't Air. Uh, no, I only remember it was near Madame Tussauds. Tussauds? Tussauds, yeah. Uh,
so
and the biggest thing for me about that was one afternoon we had a Moog synthesizer, a
uh,
mini Moog,
yeah,
uh, hired. John played it. He knew what he was doing with it. I don't know where he picked that up because it was a very new instrument, but
yeah,
that was really exciting. And we had that on Sydney's Wharf. I think that was the name of the track. Uh,
yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Wow. And therein began your infatuation with synthesizers too. Yeah.
Absolutely. But at that time, it certainly wasn't going to be something I could afford to have. It was just something, "Whoa, look
Right.
at this thing."
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've heard stories of that too, how expensive and only
Oh,
the people with money had those
yeah.
in the beginning. Right. Right.
Well, expensive and not that reliable as well. Yeah, so
Right.
drifting out of tune and things
Right.
with the old analog synths was a
Yes.
very regular thing. Yeah.
Yes. It took years to work out a lot of those kinks, and those little bugs in there, and
Yeah,
get them
yeah,
to play
yeah.
properly. Wow. Okay. Well, the sophomore release, Tomorrow's Another Day, came out in '72. And from your website, you say it was much more elaborate project.
Yeah, yeah. So there were a number of session musicians working on that. So there was a string section that came in. There was another flautist, I think. Uh, John was there. John pretty much produced that album. Uh, Someone else engineered it, and I can't remember who that was. Uh, but Kevin was there, but we had much more of a view about what the album was going to sound like, I think, or John certainly did. And he did a great job with Kevin to produce that, something that we were very pleased with.
Yes. Well, I may like this one better than the first album. When I go back and look at it, it's a nice one. I'm surprised it didn't do as well, or even, is better than the first one. Uh, I like the horns in Time and Tide.
Yes, yes,
That was a
yeah,
nice addition. Nice
yeah.
addition. Yeah,
John did the arrangements on all of that. The string section, the horns, everything. He arranged all of that. Yeah,
yeah, yes. Nice, gives it a nice feel. Uh,
yeah,
now here comes one of my favorites on the album, Beverly's Song, or Song for Beverly.
yeah.
That's a nice.
Which you might guess was written about someone called Beverly. And the really strange thing is that when we were recording that, uh, I can't remember what the name of the studio is, but I do remember that I realized when we went out to the pub for a break that Beverly used to work just around the corner from there. And I was still feeling some pain about the whole business. I thought,
You're reminded.
yeah,
Well, oh, that's something, yeah. Well, Baby, You Make the Sunshine. Now, I like the jazzy guitar on that one and the
yeah,
flute and the flute.
yes,
Yeah, I
yeah,
like that. It's
yeah,
different. Yeah, yeah,
yeah. That's one of Andy's smashing track.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well done on that one. And then here's another one of my favorites, Lament for Two Voices.
Yes, that's a sad one.
Yeah,
And uh, yeah,
yeah.
again, it's about that time in my life. But uh, yeah, sorry, it's taking me back thinking about
Yeah,
those times.
right.
But Andy's voice is sound. No, it was Richard's voice. I think it's Richard who takes the lead on that. Sounded beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful. Yeah,
yeah, yes. Now, see, I like a lot of sad songs, melancholy.
Me too, I'm afraid.
I do like those, they really speak to me, you know.
Yeah.
Uh, Now, here's another one. I like Sunny Day Parable. I like the country style guitar on that one. And the song rocks out harder than any other Gothic Horizon song I've heard. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I'm trying to remember which track on there ends with quite a lengthy lead guitar.
It must
Uh,
be, I think it may be that one, Sunny Day. Because it's a real rocking.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And I can't remember the name of Mark. It was Mark, I'm pretty sure, but I can't remember his name, who played lead guitar on that. He was very good, very
Yes.
good. My memory is that he just kind of arrived not long before we made the album. He was one of the people who was a bit on the periphery,
Yeah.
and then we were kind of moving towards touring together. And I think he didn't, if I remember rightly, he didn't come on the road with us, but certainly he was on the album. And that bit, I can still hear it quite clearly. That lead out, it's just great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And then here's another top pick from that album for me, song number one, another heart-wrenching ballad.
Yes, afraid so.
Yeah, yeah. Those are like I said, those are the kind I like to go down into that sometimes, that and really feel that, a lot of sadness, but it's I don't know. Again, it just ministers to me. It really
Mm,
does. So,
mm.
that type of song. A lot of people. They only want to hear the upbeat songs. And those are nice too. You need a good balance, but I think the ones that really touch me are those the melancholy tracks.
Are you aware of Gretchen Peters?
Rich and that sound
Gre-
that
Gretchen
name.
Peters, she's an American singer-songwriter,
Okay.
uh, excellent songwriter.
Yeah.
And she has, I think it's a t-shirt, merchandise t-shirt, and it's something like sad songs are the best songs or something like something.
Yes.
But
Yes.
if you've
Yes.
not come across her, I recommend her to you. She's stopped touring in the UK, which is a great sadness. We've seen her a number of times. Uh, and wonderful, wonderful songwriter and
Oh,
singer. Her husband, Barry, is a great pianist, and the difference between the live and recorded music uh, is interesting because it is markedly different, and yet nothing is lost in her live performance, even though in the studio she'll be using a lot more musicians. She goes on the road, or has done in the UK, with Barry and usually a multi-instrumentalist, someone playing a bit of lead, maybe a bit of percussion, bit of bass, that sort of thing. But yeah, do seek her
I will.
out because
I
she's
will.
excellent.
I will
Excellent.
look. I will look her up. How old is she? How old of?
Whew, I think
Would you
I,
guess?
I would guess in her 60s.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
All right, all right.
yeah,
I will definitely seek her out. I will definitely look into that, listen to some of her music.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Her most recent album of her own songs is Dancing with the Beast.
Okay.
And I think that is one of the top albums, not
Oh,
just her top albums. I think it's just extraordinary. Yeah.
okay, okay. I will. One more song I forgot to mention, Thoughts, another one that I like, if you remember
Right, right.
from from that album. So yes, yes. Well, it seemed the band was maybe on the precipice of making it, but what happened? Is it
I don't
the old
know,
story?
Greg. I don't know. It it all seemed to fall apart, and it wasn't helped for me that I was just getting married, falling in love, getting married, and moving out into the country. There
Okay.
was that time moving out into the country seemed to be growing potatoes, growing
Okay.
vegetables,
Yes,
uh,
yes, yes.
and I think I made the mistake of imagining in some way that I could just carry on with the career, even though we were stuck in the middle of the country.
Whereabouts? Whereabouts?
It was a place called Botolph Claydon, Botolph Claydon, Botolph Claydon,
Oh,
a tiny village in Buckinghamshire.
okay.
Uh, and you can't live in Botolph Claydon and hold down a career as a musician. Well, I couldn't anyway.
Right. I haven't heard of any musicians from there.
No, there's not a lot. Strangely, a good friend of mine, Pete Frame, well, actually, it's not strange because we rented the cottage off his brother. Pete Frame ran Zigzag magazine, which was a really influential magazine in Britain
Yeah.
for a long, long time. And he lived in the next village, and he was one of my very good friends, or still is, uh, and was hugely influential for a lot of bands. You know, it was
Yes. Oh,
a great
yes.
magazine. Yeah,
Zigzag. Yes, I'm
yeah,
aware. Mentioning growing organic vegetables, I just visited with a Canadian musician. You probably never heard of him, Tom Mulhenny.
no,
Okay, okay. He had like an album that he had released that was kind of flew way under the radar. As they said, he never did anything.
yeah,
But he also grows his own vegetables currently up
right,
there and donates it to their local food bank. So,
right,
I think I said, I tell him that's a nice cause to do that.
yeah, absolutely,
Yeah, he
absolutely.
had got him a house there, and the soil around it was very fertile for that, and just started growing vegetables, and then went on to sell them to the food bank. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
nice. That's nice.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that was just recently. Well, how did we touched on this a little bit earlier, but how did your interest in synthesizers grow and intersect with the instrument becoming more affordable?
Someone who I met living where I live now, or in this area in Herefordshire in England, uh, friend of mine, as he's become, called Paul White. And he was a name within all musicians. If you get stuck, if you have any kind of technical problem, Paul's your man. And eventually I met Paul, and at that time he was editing a recording magazine. He also had a band, and he's an astonishing guitarist. Uh, and in fact, very good cook as well.
Oh,
But he became a friend, and he was suddenly someone who was saying, look at this, listen to this, oh, see about this. And I think through all the years I've known him, and I still know him well, he's always someone who knows just what's going on with electronic instruments and other instruments, but mostly electronics. He was once an electronics engineer a long time ago. So my first ever synthesizer was well before Paul. That was a Wasp, which was this strange kind of plastic thing, but sensational at the time. It was only maybe a couple of hundred quid. And then I got a Casio CZ101, which again felt like a real milestone synthesizer. Uh, and then from then on, uh, Paul was showing me things, or I got to review things because I was by then writing for his magazine or the magazine he edited. And so the wonderful thing about that is you get given something to take home and play with for a week or so.
right,
And,
right.
and yeah, that was great. So I was having more and more instruments to play with, more and more boxes with flashing lights on to play with, and just became kind of immersed in all that stuff. But at that time, even though I was no longer having songs recorded, I was still writing songs. But I
Yes,
think at that time I was imagining, hey, this is great. I've got something that sounds quite a lot like a cello or quite a lot like a flute. I can record this stuff myself rather than depending on there being uh, other musicians to do it.
yes,
Uh, and I go to a tiny cottage in North Wales, and I've been going there every year since 1969, writing music. And I started taking synthesizers there. And at some point when I was there, kind of recording songs, and then I recorded something that was instrumental, and really just for fun. And then kind of realized it felt to me that I was recording music which reflected the place I was in.
Yeah.
And where I was, I mean, the cottage I go to is this tiny mountain right on the end of the northern peninsula of Wales. It couldn't be more isolated or more beautiful.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
either beautiful or truly terrible, depending on the weather.
The
So
weather.
I've spent time there where I couldn't get off the mountain because the weather was so bad. I've spent time with the car stuck halfway up because it disappeared in the mud. Time when you thought, are we going to get home? Am I ever going to be able to get this stuff away? Because as the years went by, I was taking more and more synthesizers with me because as the technology advanced, you could start recording into a computer, and that meant that you could play lots of different lines, not just one line. Uh, and it was eye-opening. It was quite extraordinary time. Uh, and it did seem that what I was recording fitted where I was. And
Yes.
in the end, that was how I wound up producing the first album, which was The View from Analog.
Yes.
And that was the name of the mountain, Analog. So it
That,
was literally The View from the Mountain as music. And that was all instrumental. So, and at that point, I pretty much stopped the idea of ever singing because I think we've glossed over in this story. I think my voice is not a great voice.
okay.
And
Hey,
I think there are many who would share that
hey,
belief.
you said it, not you. I didn't say that. Just for the record, I didn't say that. Well,
But you've heard Total Eclipse.
yes, yes, I have. Well, going back probably, yeah, it was earlier, right? You were in the band Pocket of Resistance.
Oh gosh, yes.
Just
Yeah.
tell a little bit about that.
Well, Pocket Resistance was, that would have been about 1983, 4, something like that, I think. Um, and that's when I was living in Herefordshire, which in fact I still do. Uh, and that was a guy called Jeff Petty, who was a singer-songwriter, and he had been in a band called Halcyon uh, from way before. Now, Jeff and me and oh, to my shame, I can't even remember who the other people were in the band.
That's
Uh,
that's all right.
but that was we did a lot of gigs. For probably about a year, year and a half, something like that, I think. Uh, Jeff wrote most of the songs. Oh, of course, Linda and Bob, they were, can I remember their names? In this moment, I find I can't. Bob Fromer, Linda Medwell. That's right. They
There
were
you
they were the singers. So the primary singers were Jeff, Bob, and Linda. They let me sing occasionally. And if we did one of my songs, then certainly I sang.
you
Yeah,
could say, yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's right.
Was there any recordings? Did you guys record anything?
I've got recordings, but no, we never went into a studio. We never got that far. And at that time, I was also directing a drama group.
Oh,
Uh, we were kind of political, nuclear focused group, and we very much played to the same kind of audience. So sometimes, in fact, both the band and the drama group would play the same gig. So sort of typically we'd do half Pocket Resistance, which is what the
yes.
band was called, and Cloak and Dagger, which is what the drama group were called, both did a gig together. So that was fun and a bit exhausting for me because I was
Yeah.
on stage all the time.
All right. I can imagine that. Yes. Spreading yourself a little thin there.
A little
A
thing. Yeah.
little thin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You've already mentioned, about your albums, your solo albums, about geographic locations, histories behind those, and thoughts and reflections around the areas. So, yeah, I like that. I like that approach. Uh, your first one you just mentioned, The View from Analog. Uh, and then all of these albums, right? You've used Paul's Studio to mix the albums.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Uh, in fact, except the last one, where oh no, in the end we did do the pause. I thought we did it here, but no, we didn't. I did the difference as the technologies moved on is that once upon a time you really did go to a studio and you really did record onto tape. And so that moment was preserved. And the difference is over the years it's more and more computer based. So in the end you might take a computer file and
Yeah.
you might tweak it and play with it a little bit, but in the end, it's such a different process. But Paul's been hugely influential on all of the albums. He's played, I think he's played something on just about every one. He certainly played bass guitar on Traces and the one before it, View from My Window, River at My Window. Uh, the river is literally out there, and it's now too dark for me to show it to you. But I can just see it glowing in the light. It's
Yeah.
5 o'clock here, and it's getting dark, but
Yeah.
it's always there. So it's
Yes. Yes. Well, how's the weather there right now?
dreadful, absolutely
Oh,
dreadful. It
is it?
is as typical English weather as you could imagine. It has rained now for, I think, 10 days. There are odd moments where it's not raining, but pretty much all the time it's just rain.
Yeah, we've had a cold spell started last night and today, and then I think tomorrow will be below freezing. We've had some sleet,
Have
and
you?
it's doing that right now too. It's supposed to do that all day today, and then turn to snow tonight. I don't know how much accumulation we'll get, but be below freezing until I believe Monday.
Right.
So we're
You see,
go
we
ahead.
get very excited by snow. Our
Yes,
family gets
yes,
riotously excited. The
yes.
WhatsApp group is kind of the moment anyone's got the chance of any snow, we get
Yes,
so
yeah,
excited.
yes, we're like that here too, because especially in Texas, it's so rare. It's maybe this will be it for us. I don't think we'll get any more. We have it once a winter, and it's usually for a day or two. So we always get amped up when there's a possibility of that. You know,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course, of course, all the people went to the stores, days in advance. I think some of the shelves are empty, and things like that. There's a little overreaction to that. But then you don't want to be out driving because people here are crazy. They can't drive on it, their cars, they're at all.
Right.
So,
We don't get used to it, do you?
yeah, right. We
Yeah,
don't. We
yeah.
don't get. We really don't get used to it. Well, I wanted to mention your other solo albums, and if you could just share your overview or the concept behind each one, that would be nice. Uh, from analog to Bardsey.
Yes. So the second album I did after The View from Analog was Footsteps to Bardsey. Now, Bardsey is an island just off the peninsula, and it's supposed to be the burial place of 20,000 saints. Uh, I think it's generally established that that's pushing it quite a bit for it to be
a,
20,000.
a little exaggerated.
But it was a place of pilgrimage, and a significant place of pilgrimage. And I think it was something like 3 trips to Bardsey was the equivalent to a pilgrimage to Rome. So there's a kind of established path that pilgrims would walk. Uh, from the mountain, from Analog, you look over the top and there's the island looming there. It's very close to the mainland, but it's also very separate. There are quite severe tidal races. It's not a place that people that don't know what they're doing should be in a boat by. You
Oh,
know, it's
okay.
quite dangerous waters. Uh, and I love the idea of this island sitting there so close and so similar to the mainland, but so separate as well. And that felt like a very natural second album to write, following on from the analog one. And I was really lucky. There was a shop in Aberdaron, which is a tiny Welsh village, again, right at the end of the peninsula. And there was a shop there that just played the music all the time. I could phone them up and I could hear it in the background. And they sold loads of it. I mean, it was
Did they?
wonderful. Yeah. And so both those albums did very, very well for me. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Wow, it's nice that they latched onto that and appreciate.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. I was very, very grateful to them. Uh, Another album I did was called Green Lane to
Yeah,
Ledbury.
that's the next one I was going to mention. Yes, yes.
Now, Ledbury is a small market town, lots of black and white timber buildings, historic town, market town. And Britain is kind of interlaced with green lanes, which are really routes from town to town, village to village, that were established by usage more than anything else. Uh, so nothing like the motorways of today, but in some way exactly like the motorways of today. That's how people got about. And I got very wrapped up in the history of the town
Yes.
and the stories about the town. Uh, and again, I wrote something that I hoped reflected the feel of that.
Yeah.
And it was just very nice to do. I I was living in Ledbury at the time, uh, and in a way, it could have been one of a lot of different towns dotted about. But the idea of a place that had existed for centuries, that there had been people living there, going about their business, that the town had been different, the roads had been narrower because they cleared it at some point. Buildings were moved. It just excited me that there were real documentation of people's lives back through
Yeah.
the centuries.
Yes.
And I found that quite a moving business to think about these people that had gone before. You know,
Yeah. Right. I love history. I always have. It's always been one of my favorite subjects in school. You know, um, I know a lot of people will say like, "Oh, I hate history because you have to remember the dates for the test and all the exams and
yeah,
all." I said, "I'm not talking about that. You know, the dates. I'm talking about the events. You know, the things that happen, like you said. You know, the progression of humanity and just the developments and the architecture and the buildings, like you said, the country life developing into cities growing and falling sometimes but I just enjoy that.
yeah.
I just enjoy that, and there's it's so fascinating to me, your 1996 album. Let's see if I can pronounce this right. Port Marion, is that close? Port
Yes,
Okay.
that's good.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
All
you're
right.
fine.
I did it the first time. And I like that. The song title's listed in English and Welsh. I like that. Yeah.
Port Merion is are you aware of what Port Merion is?
No, no. Tell us. Tell us.
It's 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 not a village. It's an extraordinary collection of buildings, all of which were designed and built by an English architect called Clough Williams Ellis. He built the place around a semi-derelict big country house, turned the house into a hotel. The hotel, in fact, was opened in 1926. And it's a place where so many people have gone. Um, the Beatles went there. Frank Lloyd Wright visited. Uh, oh, what's his name? Wrote Blithe Spirit there. It's a place kind of full of kind of quirky English Welshness. Uh, and there's a big online presence. If you visit it just online, you'll get a sense of the unusualness of the buildings, the wonderful, jokey, quirky delight that you get
Ah,
from it.
Noel
It
Coward, Noel Coward.
no, God, that's
Yes,
it. Yeah,
yes. I
yeah.
had to do a search.
Well
Yeah.
done.
Oh, okay. That it did sound familiar, that name, rang a little true in my head. So I was
Well,
like,
the
oh,
other way you may have heard of it was the TV series The Prisoner. Now, that
was
was
that the beach? Was that the beach scene?
that's it. That's it.
Oh,
With
okay.
Rover, the big balloon,
Yes.
and number six and number
Number
two,
six.
all of it. So I watched that when it first was on TV.
Right.
And then I watched it again when they
Yes.
re-showed
I
it in
am I am not
77.
a number. Yeah.
Uh, I,
Right.
I
I
am a
used to
man.
watch.
Now, the great thing with that was he used the opening credits. It said something like, "Who is number one?"
Yes.
And the other voice said, "You are number two."
Yes.
But
Yes.
if you think about where is the comma in that sentence,
Yes.
and what felt apparent to me in the end was he was saying, "You are
You
number
are.
two. You are really
Yes.
number one."
Yes.
And the bizarreness of the final episode, for me, kind of confirmed. So that he was number one, that he was in control of
Yes. Yes.
destiny. I mean,
You
it
are.
was the most bizarre program.
Well, wasn't
Uh,
it? Wasn't it?
yeah,
Yes. Yes.
and quite a shock to everyone who'd seen Patrick McGoohan in Danger Man,
Yes.
which was an established secret agent kind of thing. And this kind of blossoming weirdness was
Yes.
just not
Yes.
what anyone expected. But that was recorded and filmed at Portmeirion. And
That's
for
where that.
most of us, that's where we first heard of the place.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
Patrick McGoohan would have chosen or did choose that place because of its extraordinary architecture.
Right. Right. Okay.
Uh, and it was just very nice for me to do an album that was kind of reflecting the village.
Uh-huh.
And they were very kind to me. They provided the photograph on the front cover, for example. They sorted out the Welsh translation for me,
Yes.
that
Yes.
kind of thing. It's a delight.
Right. Right. Well, speaking of Welsh, I did an interview with Garrett Davis or Davies, who was in the Welsh folk rock band Hairguest. Have you ever heard of
Yes,
Hairguest?
yes, yes, yes.
Oh, is
Yeah,
that right?
I
Okay.
have, yes.
Yes, okay. You're like the first one that I brought that up to that's heard of them. They recorded like a few albums in the mid 70s. And I liked what I heard. I had to do a little arm twisting with him to get him to agree because he didn't think, there would be, singing strictly in Welsh, that would appeal to many viewers. So he was reluctant to do it, but finally talked him into it. And he was glad afterwards when we talked, he said he was glad he did it. You know,
Yeah, nice.
yes,
Yeah,
yes, yes.
yeah.
Some really nice. I mean, almost like Crosby, Stills, Nash kind of sounding, but really, that kind of folky type of sound. So yeah, I'm glad you've heard of them. Yeah, I had to
I mean, there's an
mention that.
interesting thing. Where I live now is very close to the border between England and Wales. And Wales suffered so badly at the hands of the English. We kind of, it's that story of colonization, of stopping a native group of people use their own language. Kids were punished for speaking in Welsh in the schools. It was a dread, I mean, this is way back, obviously, but nothing for the English to be proud of at all. And for Welsh singers to be singing in Welsh, in their language, is a kind of real significant deal.
Yes,
Yes,
yes, right.
no,
Yes,
no doubt
he,
about that.
he's very proud of that because I even asked him. I said, this music would have more mass appeal. I mean, the music itself, if you don't listen to the lyrics, I mean, it's very likable. And I said, "Have you thought about recording any in English?" And he said, "No, we're strictly Welsh, Welsh." So I could tell there was a sense of pride
Yeah, yeah,
in
yeah.
that as well. Yeah. Well, moving on to Dreams of Avalon.
Of course, I mean, it's the King Arthur story. I, to be honest, I've got some reservations. If I had to pick the album that I felt a little less comfortable about, that would be the one. And my reason for that was I think I was jumping onto a bandwagon there. Uh, no one would accuse me of jumping on a bandwagon with the view from analog, that's for sure. There's not been a lot written about analog. Uh,
Yeah.
but though inevitably the story of Arthur Avalon has been part of my life, and though I found it fabulous doing it and spending the great thing about doing an album is you can spend a lot of time researching what you're doing. I found that marvelous and I enjoyed it, but there's that little bit of me that thinks, yeah, but did you do it because you thought, that would attract more people, that more people would buy it?
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
uh there was some strange bits of serendipity about that album though, because there is a book called, and I'm just looking to see if I can see it because I can't remember the title and I can't see it. There is a book suggesting that Bardsey Island is actually the site of Avalon or is the site where Arthur was buried. Uh, and that just seemed a strange kind of coming together of
Yeah.
two different strands in my life, really.
Yeah.
Uh, but there were parts of that album that I was very pleased with. Uh, but there's just that vague bit. Everything else I felt really drawn to do.
Yeah.
Uh, and that one, I think a little bit of me thought, yeah, more people will go for that. That's
Hey, well, you're allowed one of those. Okay.
well,
Right.
just the one.
Okay. Compositions of Stone.
Very different. Yeah. Uh, I think that was the first album that I felt absolutely it had done what I wanted it to do, that I was really pleased with it. And Stonehenge track was just how I wanted it to be. Some of their quite long tracks on there. And I remember being in Paul's studio and holding my breath. Yeah. Is it all going to work out right through to the end? Is there going to be something that I've got wrong or some glitch or some pop, something? And it was a delight doing it. We visited so many places, looked at so many stones, all over the place, including Karnak, which was an extraordinary business. Um, and it was great. I enjoyed doing the research and I certainly enjoyed recording and felt pleased that I don't know whether I'd done it justice, but I did it as well as I could do it.
Yeah.
And that was very satisfying.
Back when I was in school, I went in for a business degree, but I kind of regret it. I think I would have wished I would have been, taken like an archaeology degree, you know, and do that. Now, I don't know about like career prospects, if there's,
Yeah,
as far as that goes, but I had more interest in going in that direction, looking back at that and just, discovering those relics and, the history again behind it. Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it's extraordinary. We're very aware of Stonehenge,
Yeah.
say.
Yeah.
Uh, and almost there's the idea of Stonehenge. But then when you actually go there and see the stones and think, how long have they been there? Yeah, and just realize the kind of incomprehension about, well, what was this really about? Yeah, just extraordinarily. I remember one night with Gothic Horizon, we came back past Stonehenge, I don't know, 3 o'clock in the morning from somewhere, and stopped. And this was long enough ago for you could just walk right up to the stones. So we were milling about and saying, "Wow, look at this! Look at this!" It was the 60s,
Right,
and
right,
suddenly from nowhere, this guy showed up and said, "You set off the burglar alarm."
Oh no. Is that what happened?
Burglar alarm's interesting. Is someone going to actually steal the stones?
Right, right, right.
But
The,
that
yeah,
was doing that album. The Compositions of Stone album was just very exciting, and visiting the different stones. We went to Karnak, and I mean, that's kind of incomprehensible. These rows of stones, these lines of, yeah,
right.
it's,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
try and give meaning to it, but
right.
what meaning can you find?
Yeah,
Yes.
that and Easter Island too. You know,
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
another. It's like, how did they get these here? And the pyramids too. If you want to talk about,
Yeah.
how did
Yeah.
they move these huge, heavy, stones around? And that, it's fascinating. It really is.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, uh, and then the why, the river at my window, which I think
Right.
you
So
alluded to.
that literally is just
It's right.
outside there.
Yeah,
And why is, and we can argue about this, is one of the most beautiful rivers in England and Wales. It goes in and out of Wales several times as it runs down near the border. Uh, and I just love the idea of following its trail down.
it's
Uh,
past.
the track titles are all sort of significant places on the river. Uh, and it changes, the tone of the river changes. It's fast and bright and young way upstream, and big and slow and broad further down, but also changes through the seasons. It comes up and down, and the sound changes as it comes up and down. So, like right out here, there are some small rapids, nothing sensational, uh, but you hear the water trickling across them. But when the river comes up, as it is now, because it's quite high now, the tone changes. You don't hear that at all because the rocks that the river was running over are all
Yeah.
like 15, 20 feet down. So
Yes, right.
there's a life to it. And I wanted the album to reflect that, and for the music, in a sense, to try and change as it came down, as it went from track to track, uh, and title to title. And I was more trying to link them up. So there's quite a lot of bird song, natural music, natural sounds, kind of linking each track together. Because in a sense, it could have just been one track, even though the music wasn't, I mean, it was different, but it could have been one track because it's one river. So I wanted change, but not a change that was dramatic
Dramatic,
from
right?
track to track, because yeah, it's just sections of it. So it's,
Right. Right. I like that. I like that. Yeah. And the rivers do have a life of their own. Yeah.
oh yes,
Very
yeah.
much so. Very much.
So
Yeah.
when in the summer, we can be outside and we're playing in the river. So we swim in it, we canoe on it. Uh, Kids come, grandkids, and we're just kind of out there in it. Now, it's a hugely dangerous thing,
Yes.
and we've got a field down there which it will flood again. It floods it really regularly. And it's about moving things away so those things don't get washed away. Yes.
Yes, you learned that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we learned that the hard way.
Right.
Too much stuff got washed away.
Uh, yeah. Mother Nature can be, the B word. Yeah, sometimes
Yes,
yes.
absolutely.
Well, and then talk a little bit about your latest, Traces in a Landscape, Herefordshire.
I got very interested in, again, a bit like the Ledbury album, in what had been here before. And because Herefordshire is not a densely populated county, uh, it's not, though in places it has been, but it's not been built on and built on and built on so that the past has vanished.
Right, right.
And certainly if you're out in the countryside, which is where most of my inspiration has always been, then nothing much has happened other than perhaps whatever you were able to see 200, 300, 400 years ago. Maybe that's sort of disappeared into the ground and collapsed a bit, but fundamentally it's still there. So Arthur's Stone, which is one of the tracks on the album, is at the moment the site of significant archaeological discovery. Uh, it's not so much on above the ground, but what is above the ground, if you go there for a talk, they'll tell you, well, actually, King Charles, not the current one, going back here,
Yeah,
had a picnic on this stone.
really.
And there is the stone still. And of course, King Charles having a picnic on it is not the story of that stone. That's just an incidental tourist coming by, a royal tourist. And they're discovering all manner of things which are changing their view about, well, what significance did this have? Just as we were talking about compositions of stone. Yeah, this is a bit of a mystery. And I really like the idea of just little indicators that whatever we think our lives are now, whatever we think we understand about human existence and so on, there's been stuff going on for centuries and centuries, and all the people before us uh, having their dreams and hopes and aspirations, and maybe them being fulfilled or maybe them being dashed. But these
Yeah.
are just the odd traces of
Right,
that
right.
existence.
Exactly. And we really know so little, really, when it comes
Yeah.
to, even the documented history for different regions and worlds, very little that we really know that we've unearthed. So,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 So,
The final track on the album, which is Half Groat. Do you know, I can't remember the name of the title. It's the Silver Half Groat, I'm pretty sure. Uh, that's I should know the title because it's certainly the most personal title. To try and cut a fairly long story short, there was a big detectorist metal detecting story here, where some guys discovered a hoard of old coins and actually didn't declare they discovered them and sold them on eBay and currently
um,
ended up in prison.
okay.
They
Well, good, good, good.
the actual stuff they found, quite a lot of it was recovered, and it's called the Herefordshire Hoard.
Okay.
And we were interested in this and went to a talk and an exhibition about it. There were a couple of metal detectorists there, the guys, not the guys that were in prison, uh, guys with white hats on. And we invited them to come and look at our field and have a bit of a detecting session. And I don't know whether you're aware of it in the States, but there's a lovely TV program in Britain called The Detectorists. Uh,
Yes. Oh,
uh,
what a series that was. Yes.
Wonderful,
What?
absolutely wonderful.
Yes, I love
Uh,
that. I love that. Yeah.
the central character, or one of the two central characters in that program, Andy,
Yeah.
is played by, gosh, isn't this thing? Names fall out of my head with such Mac. I
Yes, 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 yes.
I can't, I cannot remember his name.
Hang on. I can edit this. I can edit this out, but I want to. It is played by, let's see, writers. Here we go. Uh, uh, Mackenzie Crook.
That's it,
Yeah,
Mackenzie.
yeah,
So it is played by Mackenzie Crook,
yes,
and he has a new TV program coming out in about 10 days' time, which all of the Detectorist fans
yes.
are really waiting for with excitement,
Oh,
hoping it's going to be like that. Anyway,
yeah,
these two detectorists came to our field and they found a silver half-groat,
yes.
which
Okay,
is an old coin, which would have been of significance to the person who lost it.
yeah,
You don't
right,
throw
right.
coins away, you
No,
lose them,
you
don't
lose.
you?
Yeah,
And by the river was a ferry once upon a time. So one of the things I was left thinking about that was, well, was the coin dropped by someone that was walking to the ferry? They had a purpose for walking down. They were doing it for a reason. They weren't just going for a walk in the country. They would have been about their business. And I just love the idea of that story, which is just something I can make up because I've got no idea, but there was a story there. And so for me, that final track on the album was this tiny trace, the tiny coin that just
yes. Oh, I love that series. It's so heartwarming. It's just a
absolutely, yeah,
wonderful. Yeah,
yeah,
Toby Jones.
that's
The,
it.
the other way
Yeah,
in there. Yeah,
yeah,
I remember seeing Mackenzie the first time in Pirates of the Caribbean.
yes,
He was in
yes.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right.
And in a series, I know you had The Office in the States,
Yeah.
uh, but it was a different cast in the UK.
Right.
And Mackenzie Crook's character was a most unsympathetic character in The Office.
Was
But
he? Didn't it start in the UK first, and then we?
yes,
I
yes,
thought
yeah,
you do that, and we copy yours, just like Steptoe and Son, uh, Red Fox, Sanford and the what is it called? What was his Red Fox? It was called Steptoe and Son, and then we have it Sanford and Son, Sanford and
right.
Son, the Red
Yeah,
Fox. But it was we stole it. Let's just put it that way. But I noticed that with several series, it will originate there, and then we kind of copy it, do our own, But yeah,
uh,
what a show! I love the Simon and Garfunkel characters in
yeah.
that. That was because they look just like them. That's funny. That's funny. All right. All right then. Mike, can you think of anything else in closing that I may have omitted, or did you like to mention, or
I
anything
don't
else?
think so. I guess the only thing, just thinking about me lugging all those synthesizers onto the mountain every year,
Uh,
I remember sometimes stumbling from the car to the cottage with this big rack of synths and mixers and bits and pieces, and thinking the time will come when I'm not able to carry this kind of stuff on my own. Uh, I think I have to accept the fact that time has come now. But of course, now all I do is take a laptop and
oh,
two small speakers because
there you
everything's
go.
in the laptop.
There you go.
You
There you
know,
go.
the recording software,
Right,
all the synthesizers, all the samplers, producing sounds that I would never have dreamed of
right.
30, 40 years ago. That's,
Right, exactly. And then a lot of that software just makes it so right at your fingertips. Yeah. You
yeah,
can do that.
yeah,
Create your own. Yeah.
yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah,
Right. Well, all right. All right. Well, I want to thank you again, Mike. It's been most enjoyable. And
pleasure.
again, hearing I like you elaborating on those different locations that you recorded and your albums, your solo material. I need to come over there sometime. The only time I've been to the UK was Manchester. I did go there 25 years. Well, now this year, 26 years ago. So that was my only visit.
Did you like it?
I went to see a band play because I never thought they would come here. So, and then come to find out the band and the lead singer have been here like 5 more times, since then. If I had just waited, right?
Waited a bit.
Right. But it was a good trip though, for a weekend. So, yeah. All right. Well, I will get you a copy of this probably this time next week.
Okay.
Give or take a day or two, and then you can post it where you like, and it will be on my channel.
Okay.
Well, so
Good to speak to you.
good to speak to you.
Nice trip down memory lane.
Yeah, yes, that's what I like about these. You guys sharing your journey. That's what it's about. All right, Mike.
Okay.
All the best to you. All right.
Thanks very much.